Just a couple of quick announcements before we begin our questions. The first of them is that many of you might know Sheikh Dr. Mahmoud. He usually comes and prays in the front row here at Al-Hijrah. He's very ill. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him shifa. Ameen. And then on Sunday, we have our community picnic. It'll be at Bluemont Park, so we encourage everyone to attend. And inshallah, in 2 weeks, not next Friday, but the following Friday, we will be offering a fourth khutbah. There will be a fourth Jummah at 2:30, inshallah. So just be aware of that. And like I said, keep an eye out on our website and our app, inshallah, for all the updates. What is Islamic perspective in working in a credit union as an IT technician? We had spoken about this before and how to compartmentalize different types of work. So there are things in a bank and a credit union that are permissible, and there are things that are not permissible. And working as an IT technician, you have a very specific job that you are being paid for, and when you compartmentalize it in that way, inshallah, it is permissible. When is Eid al-Adha? Eid al-Adha is the 10th of the Al-Hijrah. I would like to get married soon. However, I understand that finances and being able to provide are important given the state of the economy and inflation. Is there a certain yearly salary that is necessary? No. And the reason for that is because every state, every locality, and every person's lifestyle are going to be different. The important thing to keep in mind is like, okay, this individual who I'm marrying, so if you're interested in a particular sister, a particular woman, is she willing to live according to your salary? Meaning that, can I provide a place for her to live? Can I provide health insurance for her? La samahallah, she gets hurt. Do we have a car that we can get around? You know, am I able to provide for her in general, right? And providing, meaning that we eat meat every single day. Providing can mean we eat Maggi noodles every day, right? It really depends on the individual and what the spouses agree upon. As long as both families know what they're getting into, then that agreement is between the husband and the wife. And there are people get married and sometimes they live out of their car, right? It happens. It's not everybody has a very easy married life, but the question is how much are you willing to bear? Right? If I know that this person has this lifestyle, it can only provide this much, is that okay for me? The thing with marriage is it's consensual. It's a choice. Like, you don't have to marry this person. You can marry someone else. But if you're like, okay, no, this person has good vision, they have good insight, they have khuluq, they have deen, they have all of these things, they're just going through a rough patch right now, things are difficult, and I'm willing to bear that, and I'm willing to be patient with that because I believe that this person has that drive. Bismillah, go for it, make istikhara and go for it. But I always suggest having financial stability, and again, that's up to you and you decide how much. Financial stability to me, what does it look like? It looks to me like you have a place to stay and you can afford it, that you have your own car and you have a stable job. That to me is financial security and stability. That could be a six bedroom house, or it could be in a basement, right? It's up to you. That's not something I can dictate. That's something that every individual needs to decide for themselves. So there is no minimum, right? The minimum is whatever you decide and whatever your potential spouse is willing to handle. Is having a crush on an opposite gender haram? No, it's not. I think it's something that's very natural, to see someone that you like. The important thing is to make sure that we don't act on those things. Make sure that we don't constantly think about those things and become obsessive over those thoughts and ideas. But it is something that is regular. Can you pray for Ethiopia, the country of Bilal radiallahu anh? The government destroyed more than 20 masajid. Please put the people of Ethiopia, Sudan, Yemen, Palestine in your prayers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them. I know there's a lot of oppression happening in the world today. May Allah help the Muslims. Ameen. Are women required to have long hair? Can it be cut or trimmed? No, they're not required. They can trim or cut their hair however much they want, as long as it is not specifically a male hairstyle. That's all. But they are allowed to cut and trim their hair. Can I bring a cat to the masjid? No, please don't bring a cat to the masjid. I've always heard Rabbana wa lakal hamd, but now I'm hearing it's just Rabbana lakal hamd. Both of these are narrated. There are different narrations on this. Both of these are correct. So you can choose either or. Is the sunnah mu'akkada for Asr 4 or 2 rak'ah? It is 4 rak'ah in 2 units, right? So you would pray 2 units, 2 and 2. That's how you pray. The Hanafis, they allow praying 4, but you wouldn't do tashahhud in the second rak'ah, and you recite a second surah. So for the Jamhur, when you're praying 4 rak'ah, pray 2 and 2. right? Any sunnah that you want to do, they should be done in sets of two. For the Hanafis, is different. They can pray four together, but there's no tashahhud, and they do a surah in addition to Surah Al-Fatiha in the second two rak'ah. If I'm going to pray Fajr in the masjid and as soon as I get there the prayer starts, there isn't enough time to pray Sunnah, can I pray after? Yes. There's a specific hadith actually, the Prophet ﷺ, somebody got up after prayer and he prayed again, and the Prophet ﷺ, he said, where were you praying? He said, I missed my Sunnah, and the Prophet ﷺ was silent. So there is permission to do that, there's nothing wrong with that. Can Tahiyatul Wudu? I think he means Tahiyatul Masjid. And masjid be prayed during the forbidden times of prayer. There is khilaf. There is khilaf on, is it permissible for an individual to pray on the awqat manhi anha. So there are times where an individual cannot pray. So for example, after Fajr until the sun clears the horizon, between Asr and Maghrib, these are considered prohibited times to pray. Some scholars, they allow salawat that asbab, so meaning that if you have a reason to pray them, for example, a person comes to the masjid, some of the scholars will allow that individual to pray at that time, other scholars will not allow it. It is a mas'ala khilafiyah. I heard that the only fluid that can release during sleep is mani. However, many times I wake up with minor amounts of fluid that resembles madi. Am I obligated to make ghusl or not? Yes, and the reason for that, min bab ihtiyat, right? So it's important to be safe, especially with issues of tahara. And this is something because you can't actually tell the difference, right? It appears different, but you can't actually tell the difference. So I would advise this person to make ghusl. It's important that this individual makes ghusl. Why is Saddam Sadim being given a platform at Al-Hijrah when he openly endorses the gay community, something that is known to be haram and to support? All right, valid question. So he's running for the state legislator position. What is the requirement to become a state legislator? Do you guys know? I don't know. You don't know? Well, I'm here to tell you. The requirement to become a state legislator is to be a U.S. citizen. If you are a U.S. citizen, you are eligible to run as a state legislator, as a congressman, school board. There are no limit. You can run for the president even. There are no minimum requirements for any of these positions. So the first question I have is, can you raise your hand if you ran for the state legislator position or you put your name in? No one. Okay. So the reason I ask that, and I'm not blaming anyone, like you don't have to. Please don't feel that you have to run for the position. I didn't run for the position either. But when we don't choose to be involved, guess what happens? Other people will be involved. You create something that's called a vacuum. You know why it's called a vacuum? Because it sucks in somebody. Somebody is going to fill that space. So now, when we all agree that we didn't run for the position, you have two people who are running. You have Saddam and you have Corey. I don't know if you guys are aware. So you have two of these people who are running. The difference between them is Saddam, he's willing to come and talk to the community and actually work with us. The other one said, no, I don't want to work with the community. And yes, and both of them are Democrats, by the way. So both of them, like the gay stuff, Saddam, he's more open about it. The other one, he's not as open about it. The question I have is like, okay, yeah, I disagree with him on that, no doubt. But he's willing to even pass proposals that'll help us. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the school board. They have an opt-in policy. So the opt-in policy is basically, they have sex education under family life education in all of the schools here in FCPS. And the default is that a child has to take it unless a parent says no. This is the default. Saddam said, I'm going to change that so that the default is opt-out, meaning that if I want my child to take it, the parent has to say, I want my child to take it. This is a big difference, yes? And this is a policy that's something that's worth supporting, and if I have an individual who's willing to support me in that, maybe I can talk to him about other things, but at the end of the day, the political stances people take are individual political stances. And if I'm not fulfilling that position, and other people are, I have to make a decision now, okay, well, who's better of these two? Is it the best choice? Not necessarily, but it is the better choice. And at least in our position, right? You know what I mean? Like someone might come to me and be like, no, well, I think the other guy's better. It's like, okay, that's cool, that's fine. I mean, it's politics at the end of the day. And those individual decisions are there. And on top of all this, Al-Hijrah doesn't endorse anyone. We don't endorse individuals. I want to be very clear. Al-Hijrah is a non-profit organization. We are not allowed to endorse individuals. We can host individuals, but we cannot endorse them. خلاص. So we'll stop here. والله أعلم وصلى الله على خير خلق نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.